Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beantown Banter podcast.
Hunter on the move, racing back, it's over his head, it's gone, it's into the bullpen, this game is tied, this game is tied!
Rebound is on the top of the crease, Red Sox score! Bergeron!
Driving forward, diving to the goal line! A touchdown! And a title!
Anything's possible. Anything's possible!
Recording live from Boston, Massachusetts, here are your hosts, Brady Gardner and Patrick Donnelly. And welcome back to episode 5 of the Beantown Banter podcast. We are here with our 5th episode back in our normal studios, but it has been quite a time trying to figure it out today, hasn't it, Patrick?
I don't even want to talk about it.
53 minutes and counting, trying to figure out this whole program, but I think we did it. Hopefully we don't waste 45 minutes of our time here, but nonetheless, I'm Brady Gardner, along with Patrick Donnelly. How are we today, Patrick?
Tired and done with technology.
Yeah.
Just really just don't want to talk about technology anymore.
Well, we won't, and instead we'll move on to Boston sports, starting off with your Boston Red Sox, who are in the World Series after a 4-1 series victory over the Houston Astros. A week ago, we talked about Game 2, in which the Sox won and evened up the series at Fenway. Then heading to Houston, couldn't have asked much more from the Sox. Won 3 straight, and now they're headed to the World Series. What do we think of it?
Well, first off, the Houston Astros are 0-4 since the MLB politely asked them to stop cheating.
Yeah.
And they're also 0-2 since Alex Bregman decided to troll Nathan Eovaldi on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, 0-3.
0-3, yeah.
Yeah. So it just goes to show, or Aaron Judge, he trolled the Red Sox. Alex Bregman, trolled the Red Sox. It's probably not going to end well for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw exactly what I wanted to see, or not exactly. Not really expecting JBJ to be the MVP, although he did only hit 200, which is expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had those clutch moments. I think Xander Bogaerts still needs to be better with those throws from shortstop. Still looked a little lackadaisical. Other than that, I think Steve Pearce was good defensively. Don't want to really run through the whole lineup here, but David Price.
That's the big one.
Yeah. Hopefully he can do it in the World Series. I'm going to say that. I mean, Game 2, he did give up. He had the 3 earned runs, I think, but gave up 4. 3 earned, I think.
Yep.
But I mean, they still got the win. I think he pitched perfectly adequate for Game 2, and then you see Game 5, he's lights out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway from the entire series. As nice as it is for Jackie Bradley Jr. to come up with some big hits and get the MVP, and Eovaldi looking so great as he did, but seeing Price able to come out there and finally get that first win as a starter in the postseason, it had eluded him for quite some time and had just kind of become a joke around here. Like, hey, anytime you send this guy to the mound, you might as well just chalk it up as a loss in the postseason because he can't win. And so he goes out there and he doesn't just win a game. It'd be one thing if he went out and the offense supported him early and all he had to do was just kind of like go through the motions, I guess, and just prevent more runs than his team had scored.
Mm-hmm. He
had to battle there the whole time with one of the best postseason arms in recent memory, in Justin Verlander, and he went 6-7 innings and completely toe-to-toe with Verlander and ultimately outlasted the Astros ace. So I think that was a huge performance from David Price, putting that together. Also in kind of short rest because he had thrown a lot in the bullpen the night before if they needed him. So I think that was just huge for Price to get that. And it's interesting to see how he builds on that in the World Series. Obviously another talented offense in the Dodgers, maybe not as star-studded as the Astros team he just beat, but on a bigger stage, of course, in the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also that he stepped up for Chris Sale. Do you want to get to that?
Chris Sale is a completely different case in himself. So, as we know, didn't look too great in Game 1. Gave up quite a few earned runs early on and was pulled pretty early as well. And then all of a sudden, we heard that he was brought into the hospital for overnight observation on a stomach issue, which some people kind of attributed to potential painkillers that didn't really agree with him, or if that was part of the problem on that first night. But all of a sudden he comes out and says, you know what, guys, it's all good. It was an irritation caused by my belly button ring. What?
Yeah, so I have a feeling, I want to say it's a joke.
It's a joke.
It has to be.
There's no way it's not a joke.
Because he said it with a straight face. It was reported seriously. And then we have the USA Today story saying a Red Sox player confided in them that it was a joke.
Of course it's a joke. I mean,
you never know with this stuff though.
yeah. Oh god. Well, I don't need to know about what Chris Sale has going on there, but I mean, I think it's a good sign for the Sox that he's willing to joke around. Because if he's saying, oh yeah, I'm totally fine and ready to go, like if he's trying to put something out there, then it might make you a little bit nervous, and then maybe he's just kind of saying this. But if he's out and coming out saying like, oh hey, it's just my belly button ring, I mean, I think the fact that he's joking just makes it seem like, oh no, he's fine, he'll be good to go here in the World Series, and they need him.
Yeah, and I mean, Jack Carrabis got a belly button ring to be in solidarity with Chris Sale, and then it came out that Chris Sale probably doesn't have a belly button ring. So
that's funny.
0 for 1 for the Rockets so far.
Saga's
But we got into this previewing the matchup with LA. I think it depends on what kind of Kershaw you get in games 1, 4, and potentially 7. And then I really think what I was thinking about when I said I'd rather face the Dodgers is that the Brewers could have matched our offense, and our offense is what got us here.
Yeah.
Which segues us into what are we doing about the NL ballpark with JD Martinez?
It's tricky. You hear a lot of different things circulating here in recent days about who's going to take the back seat, because you have 4 primary outfielders for this series, and Martinez, Betts, Bradley Jr., and Benintendi. And so that means you got one extra guy who's going to have to kind of take a seat here for a little bit. If it's me, I'm saying, sorry, JBJ, you had a great ALCS. See you later.
You'll be a defensive replacement.
Defensive replacement. If you need a lefty bat in there at some point, he can come in.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's been hot, but I think the stats are a little inflated. Like you said, he only batted 200. He had 2 huge hits, and major hits, great for him because they were big spots and times where maybe he struggled in the past. And so awesome that he's able to kind of break that, just like David Price did, and kind of change the narrative a little bit. But at this, he's still the same player. He's a great defender, but is his hitting really going to be enough to keep him in the lineup? I don't think so.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you can say that the stats are inflated if he was hitting 200.
Well, yeah. I just mean people valuing
perception.
That's right.
But yeah, people are saying JD Martinez at first base, which is ludicrous.
No.
For he's never played a single pitch at first base.
And your first basemen are fine.
Yeah, and Steve Pearce has been a wonder defensively so far. And also, first base in the major leagues, a lot harder than first base in Little League that you might have played.
Yep.
And I can't wait for, if they do that and you're the person who's been advocating for it, all right, just wait till he misses a scoop from a bad throw from Bogarts. Or wait till he can't do the split like Steve Pearce does. And then it's also, Jackie Bradley Jr., thank you. Wonderful. We got you here. You got us here. Or not really, not all the way, but you were a big part.
Yep.
And you didn't have the offense the entire rest of the year. It was just 5 games, really. So we got to go with what got us here, which is our offense.
Yeah.
And it's also, if you were to sacrifice, Steve Pearce's bat has been fine. He's been decent. He's been getting on base, not blowing the world away. And then also, people have also said, or I'm completely off track here. People have said Mookie at second base, which is feasible, I guess. But he's only had a cup of tea at second base in the majors, and really, I think his glove would be equal to that of Kinsler. Obviously, his bat would be better than Kinsler or Holt. Sorry for your guy.
Yeah.
But it's just, do you really want JD Martinez in there in right field every night or 3 nights?
I mean, he's gonna have to be.
Yeah.
There's really no choice.
That's true. So do you roll it? Do you put Mookie at second base, or do you roll it with Benintendi, Betts, Martinez?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and as exciting it is to, Mookie's a second baseman. Yeah, let's throw him at second. That's one of our weaker positions anyway.
Absolutely not.
No. I mean, you have this elite right fielder, one of the best in the game, and you're going to take him out and make him a mediocre second baseman. I don't think he's Kinsler's level. Obviously, he hasn't proven it, so we have a pretty small sample size on his ability at second. But Ian Kinsler's a guy who's been in the league for more than a decade, who's proved that he's a gold glove second baseman, and so you're going to take him out for this guy that's played 4 innings at second in his major league career.
That's it?
In
4?
the World Series. I think it's 4. We saw him earlier this season. I'm pretty sure that was the only time. Yeah, consult the internets on that one. I just think it comes down to kind of a math equation for me. Yes, you're getting an elite, offensive player in Martinez into the outfield, but you're taking away an elite glove. And then you're taking away an elite glove, if you want to call Kinsler that, from the infield, putting in a mediocre glove. So instead of 2 elite gloves at second and right, you've now got 2 mediocre gloves at second and right.
He played 14 games at second base in 2014.
Okay, great. So bump it up to 20 games in his, 5-year career? Like, great.
Mm-hmm.
Still, though, you're going to throw him in the World Series, in the biggest series by far that he's ever played in his career. And you're going to say, you know what, buddy? You haven't played second base, for long stretches since you were 20 years old, but here you go do it. Like, it's not that easy.
So he has 66 defensive chances at second base with opportunities. He's made 25 putouts, 38 assists, and 3 errors.
Three. I mean, I don't know. Is that a good thing? 3 and 68 or whatever.
Yeah, he finished the year with a .955 fielding percentage.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I mean, as exciting as it is to think about,
He just hasn't done enough.
He hasn't done enough. I can understand if you want to say at like the end of the game, maybe somehow Swihart ends up in there. You need to put somebody else in the outfield. Well, Mookie can do a job at second. I just don't think you can go into it with him being your primary second baseman.
You can't, because even back in 2014, that was when he got called up for that, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So that's when he was still playing second base almost full time.
Yep. Are you playing devil's advocate here, or do you want to see Mookie at second?
I really don't. I mean, I think
Okay.
it'd be cool, but I think there's a little too much risk versus the very, very high reward.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that could go wrong.
I agree. So I guess continuing down this kind of speculation that we're doing here, if you have to get rid of an outfielder, we said you want JBJ out.
Yeah.
Let's say Cora goes with Benintendi, and we haven't really seen this from Cora much. He doesn't really tend to play the hot hand. We saw Brock Holt hit for the cycle and then proceed to sit the bench for the next few games. Not bitter about that one at all.
When he was back in, he did fine, just playing the numbers.
Yeah, just playing the numbers. Mitch Moreland, he went down, and then Steve Pearce did totally fine without him.
Mm-hmm.
But that Game 5 there in Houston against Verlander, Moreland had good numbers, so Moreland went in and he succeeded. So I think he'll stick with Benintendi. Benintendi's just the better hitter. He's had some good defensive plays. Like we saw, the play that won Game 3 comes to mind. Was it Game 3?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or
Game 4? I think it was 4.
Game 4, yeah.
All right. Anyway.
And game sealing catch in Game 5.
He's been fine. So, I guess continuing with this, if they decide Benintendi out, Bradley Jr. staying in, who do you want to bat second in place of Benintendi? Keep in mind that they have a lot of lefty pitchers on that Dodger staff. So maybe going righty, lefty, righty, like they've done at the top of the lineup in the past. Maybe you can go righty, righty, righty.
I think maybe Pierce.
Steve Pearce second.
Maybe.
Wow.
I mean, I'm really just trying to think. Bogarts.
I would bump Bogarts up, yeah. And then I'd go Pearce fourth.
I forgot
Devers
Bogarts
fifth.
existed
Devers
for a
is hitting
second.
well.
Yeah.
He's been in the 6-7 hole all series. I think move him up to fifth.
I mainly threw out Pierce because I forgot Bogarts existed for a split second.
I don't know about you also, but I don't really have any interest in seeing Eduardo Nunez in this series.
I have no interest in seeing Eduardo
The guy
Nunez.
can't hit. He now can't run, and he had trouble at third base.
He now cannot play third base. And I don't think he's that much of a defensive upgrade over Devers in the first place.
Yeah, I think the move was because he had more experience than Devers. He's a more veteran player, and Devers is kind of just a kid.
I think it was also a bit of a message sent.
In benching Devers?
Yeah.
Okay. And you think that lit a fire under Devers now?
Get
That's
your
why
act together.
Yeah, that could be. It's a good take there.
The honeymoon period's over.
That's right. So, I guess that's our expectations for the series, and then I guess finishing off with the rotation. Are we assuming Sale starting Game 1? That's pretty much a done deal. Game 2 is a little tricky though. Evaldi or Price?
I think you gotta go Price. Stick with how it's been going.
I'm kind of the opposite myself. I think Evaldi, while Price had a great start in that last one, Evaldi's been your best playoff starter.
Evaldi, Price, Porcello.
That's what I would do. I think Price has been good on the road as well. I think in front of these home fans, I think he gets a little antsy. I always thought it'd be better to have Price at home because he can, the fans can get behind him and he can feel the love. But when things go wrong, we saw he got booed in, what was it, the game against the Yankees that he struggled in, that Game 2 there. So I think having him on the road, while maybe he'll get some boos from the home crowd, I don't think it's as bad as having 18,000 eyes on him, or however many it is. Definitely more than that.
Fenway?
Yep.
35.
Yeah, I was not even close. Okay, cool. So I just think.
Gillette's like 67, Garden 17,
Y-
and then
Yeah, I was not close, but whatever. Just bring him to L.A. Let him pitch in the beautiful sunny weather. No
bring
chance.
Astro for a walk.
Bring Astro for a walk on the nice outfield there in Los Angeles. It'd be great.
At the beach.
At the beach. Wow.
Venice Beach.
Okay. Well, so that's our expectations for this series. And I guess just to finish off our Red Sox talk here, what are your predictions?
Sox in 6.
Sox in 6. See, I'm thinking Sox in 5.
5.
I mean, you can't stop the train right now. They just blew through the Astros in 3 games in their own backyard.
No, see, I'm comfortable saying 5. I just want to give a little bit of a cushion
and
also 6 potentially be there for the game for $9.
Oh my gosh, gotta calm down here. It would
even
be so
7,
cool.
Even 7, we could go.
Oh man, well, it'd be so cool to just have them
I'd
win it here again.
5.
We're getting greedy here.
I think they could definitely do it in 5, but I also want to give the Dodgers a little more credit.
Yeah,
especially with Kershaw.
we didn't really talk about the Dodgers. So they got good pitching. They got Kershaw, Ryu. There's a third guy that I'm totally blanking on. There's Rich Hill, but he's their 4th, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
They got a lot of lefties though, and we have a lot of lefties in our at least towards the top of our order.
I was gonna say in our bullpen and in pitching we have
pitching, yeah,
1 lefty and then 1 lefty in the bullpen.
2 lefties starting.
Price and Rodriguez.
Sale.
Oh, that's right, Sale. So 3 lefties total.
That's nuts.
On your pitching staff. And I think it's
we kind of overlooked that all the way. It's just crazy.
I think it's bumped down from 5 in the regular season.
Oh my god.
I think that was Velazquez and Pomeranz, the other 2.
Mm-hmm. Man. And then
Brian Johnson. So that's 6.
Okay. Does this Dodger lineup worry you at all? I mean, Justin Turner, he's looked good at times. I don't know if he's really had it as of late. And Yasiel Puig, always potential for big things. Bellinger, they have. Any of those guys worry you as much as this Astro lineup did?
No, I don't think they have near as much firepower as the Astros.
They are hot, though.
They are.
Coming off a big series win against the Brewers.
Yeah, they were on the ropes early, though.
It's true. I also think, we talk about how Aaron Judge trolled the Red Sox with the New York, in Fenway, and then they lost the next 2 games at their own stadium. And then Bregman trolled Evaldi with the picture on Instagram, and then they lost 3 games at their stadium.
Has somebody trolled someone?
No,
sure.
But
all right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Puig or, Manny Machado. I forgot about him. Manny Machado on the Dodgers.
That's right, Manny Machado.
One of them maybe come up with something.
Honestly, like there was that whole thing with the first base.
Oh my gosh, what a dirty play!
In Game 5.
Yep.
And then there was, and it's also the fact that he's never played postseason ball, and he's never been in the World Series.
He's looked pretty good this postseason, though.
He has, but he also just when he didn't hustle to beat out that ground ball, he also just said I'm not that guy who's gonna hustle.
That's a good look. Good look, man.
If you're not gonna do that in the World Series, good luck.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably enough Red Sox talk for one day.
Also, they don't have Corey Seager, so.
That's a good point. Is that injury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy John.
Almost forgot about him.
Tommy John is a shortstop.
And then they got Kenley Jansen in the bullpen. He could be dangerous too if they end up with the lead early because he's been on fire. But it'll be an exciting series for sure. Certainly the first time the Red Sox and the Dodgers have met up in the World Series. It'll be just about the furthest distance apart you can get. I was thinking about that. You can only get Miami and Seattle, I think, who are further apart in the same leagues. But it'll be very exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So moving along. Oh, and also crazy. This time next week, we could be talking about who won the World Series.
Potentially. That would be that'd be in between games 5 and 6.
Yeah, or we could be previewing the end.
Yeah, could be.
We will see. You'll have to tune in for that episode.
Hopefully, it's a good. We won in 5 or 4.
Yeah.
I think 5's realistic, but I also think 6 is a good number.
I'd like 6, but I'm thinking 5. Anyway,
6.
We got to move on. So Patriots coming up with another win. This time, their first win on the road against the Chicago Bears. The Bears, 38-31, in another offensive shootout. And it's the 3rd week in a row the Patriots have scored 38 points or more. 4th week actually, but they're on a 4-game win streak. Things are looking up for the Pats. They now sit 6-2. That's incorrect.
They also gave up 30 points.
They are 5-2. But they also gave up 31 points. So what'd you take from this matchup?
I thought it was good. I thought the offense was good without Sony Michel. James White really is really making me eat my words that he couldn't do it on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I think honestly, you didn't even notice that they didn't have Gronk yesterday. And Josh Gordon he came up big on that fourth down.
He did.
He has some pretty decent catches. Not decent. He has some great catches. That fourth down catch, I think that was the highest he's ever been.
Oh my God. Okay.
He got up for that ball though.
I mean, yeah. Well, and just thinking about that one play, the trust you have to throw a jump ball on fourth down, 10 yards down the field.
To Josh Gordon.
Great catch too.
Yeah.
It shows you.
And he held on to it. That was a hard fall.
His
helmet popped off.
Lost his helmet. Yeah. Continue.
But other than that, I mean, it's concerning when you let the Bears offense without Allen Robinson give up 31 to Mitchell Trubisky, of all people. And not even that Trubisky's been bad. It's just that he doesn't have that many weapons. Taylor Gabriel's just disappointing as always. I'm near certain Allen Robinson didn't play yesterday. Even if he did,
I didn't see him.
Yeah, I didn't hear his name. And then the only his really only weapons were Tyreek Cohen, and Trey Burton, which, I mean, Trey Burton's really having a coming out party this season and looking like one of the more dynamic tight ends. So it's going to be obviously tough to stop him. And then Tyreek Cohen is their answer for James White. But it's just, I'll get to the point here. The defense still looked awful.
Right.
Like giving you headaches. And then I think the offense was good. The offensive line looked good, but mind you, Khalil Mack was likely playing hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's kind of same old from the offense. It wasn't an amazing performance, but they got the job done. They put up enough points to outscore the opposition, and that's always what you want to do.
Yep.
What a statement that is, huh? Obviously, unfortunate for Sony Michel to go down because he was starting to get some real momentum there.
Just like it's been a long time.
That primary running back, yeah. I mean, it didn't look good. He had to be carted off the field after limping off. So you hope for the Patriots' sake and for Michel's sake that he'll be all right. But I think they might have to start looking for other options. Mike Gillislee's still out there. I think he's the clear-cut
you have to at this point.
Replacement, yeah. As nice as Kenyon Barner has been there, he had a couple decent runs, but he's not the big back that you need. But looking at the defensive side, like you mentioned, just not good enough, really. I mean, I think we saw a little bit more pressure up front getting to Trubisky, but that kind of led to, Trubisky running around, and we've had problems with running quarterbacks in the past, and we did again. We saw him scramble 30 yards back, it seemed, just to come all the way back forward and get an 8-yard touchdown run.
Yep.
As it was recorded.
That touchdown run was in slow motion. He walked into the end zone.
It was.
He actually walked into the end zone.
I think it's just the linebacker play is still a little inconsistent. Like we saw right there, you just need someone keeping an eye on the quarterback. It seems like it was a little unorganized at times.
Yeah, and like when you do get him pressure, you do get him moving out of the pocket, you can't tackle him, which is the same story we had last year. We couldn't make tackles.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think I heard this point, so I can't really take credit for it, but it seems like we always have trouble with these schemes from the Andy Reid coaching tree, because obviously we struggled against Reid, gave up however many points last year in the opener to him, and then again with Mahomes almost mounting that comeback last week and that 43-40 win for the Pats. And then we struggled, obviously, against Doug Peterson in the Super Bowl. Don't really want to go back to that, but it was not pretty. He was from the Reid coaching tree as well. And then Matt Nagy, the new coach at the Bears, doing something similar with his young lineup there. Kind of Cohen Cohen and Taylor Gabriel looking kind of like their alternatives for Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt. So
yeah, and it's
still
also Andy Reid and Tom Coughlin are like kryptonite for the Patriots.
Yeah.
No matter what. Like we saw with the Jags. Like Tom Coughlin all those years with the Giants, 2 Super Bowls. Now with the Jags, you have trouble with the Jags, you had trouble with the Giants.
That's right.
Now, Andy Reid, all his disciples everywhere they may be, are always giving you trouble. So, I don't know, just really like outscore them when it comes down to it, because it doesn't seem like you're going to find a way to beat them defensively anytime soon.
Well, it does get easier here for the Patriots as they take on the Bills in Buffalo on a Monday Night Football matchup. Kind of
Monday night with the Bills?
Monday night with the Bills.
Really?
I don't know if we assumed the Bills would be a little bit better than they are this year when we made that, or if they're just some awful matchups in the NFL this week, but a little bit interesting there.
I think it's the classic. They don't know who to schedule for prime time.
well, Monday Night Football is always hit or miss. But it should be a little bit easier for the Pats, not taken away from the Bills too much, but I just think they're not really there yet with some of their younger players. So I think it should be business as usual. And then you come up against an interesting matchup with the Packers, which I'm sure we'll have a preview for next week, so I don't really want to dive into that right now. But so far, after a 1-2 start, the Patriots are now 5-2, back on track, and you have one more point to make.
This from Fantasy Football News, Matthew Barry's app. Text from last night on Patriots running back Sony Michel and his injured knee. Quote, expect it will be a little bit, but not overly serious. Won't know till they look at it Monday. Schefter.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what we knew.
All right, so we'll find out today.
I mean, it did not look good.
Hot take on Gronk.
That's right. I almost forgot about that. That's a big one. Here we go. Hot take alert.
I think this is my old man screaming at
alarm.
This is my old man screaming at clouds with my tinfoil hat. I think Rob Gronkowski will either, and he won't get traded. He'll throw a tantrum again. I think he'll retire after this season. If not this season, next season. When he's a free agent. I think the more I think about it, I think next season's more realistic when he's a free agent, just walking in the sunset.
Oh my gosh. Like, see, you said this to me earlier, and I don't know how to react because it seems crazy. Like, he's been such a prolific tight end in his career, and why would you ever want to stop? But you see these nagging injuries that keep coming up.
Again, he missed his entire junior year in college because of his back.
Yep, his ankle, always a problem. He wears that big arm sleeve every time because he's afraid to hurt his arm again. This guy is so beat up, but he's also so good when he plays.
Yeah, and I mean, this year he hasn't looked so good. He's only gotten over 100 yards once. That was week 1. Over one touchdown, one single touchdown so far. That was week 1.
That's crazy.
And then his closest was, I think, 75 yards week 4, and then this was week 6, correct? 75 yards week 4. And then
7.
Huh?
7, week 7.
Week 7?
Yep.
All right, so it was week 5. 77 yards week 5, and then 95 yards last week in week 6. So, I mean, he's come close. He's picked it up in the yardage category the last few weeks. But you got to find the end zone every once in a while. And it's also the eye test where I know he's in double coverage a lot, but you see, like, recent years, he's able to create that separation. He's so athletic. He's so, like, much stronger than everybody. It just hasn't happened. He doesn't look the same, at least from the eye test. This is purely from my eye test, from what I've seen.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there is way more to him than just the stats.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
he forces a coverage from the team that isn't really without him. They have to double him. They have to worry more about him. Then you got guys like Chris Hogan opening up, James White getting more linebacker matchups, that kind of thing.
And then you bring into account that the injuries. His back is an issue again, and he's 29, 30 in the NFL except for quarterbacks. 30 in the NFL is like the 40 of every other league, unless you're like Adrian Peterson or Frank Gore. And it also like comes down to he already threatened retirement last season. Like he had the comments in the Super Bowl post-game interview where he said he's going to look at his future, or hinted at it. And then we find out, and then he goes on with the I want to try acting. And he's at WrestleMania, and we have the Rock saying he think Gronk would be good in wrestling and acting. And then we have the story come out that before the game against the Lions, that Bill wanted to trade him to the Lions, and he threw a fit, and then really made retirement a possibility. So, the more I think about it, I think if anything happens, he's going to retire when he's a free agent next year, because Bill will say, "Oh, we want to trade you," but he's already made it clear he doesn't want to play for anyone else besides the Patriots. And then I think by the time next year, he'll be probably 31 when he hits free agency, depending on when his birthday is. Yeah. I'm assuming.
We're going to Google his birthday now.
We are.
I mean, so while
there's a big difference. So he'll be 30 in May, and by the time he'll probably end up getting signed next year, he'll be 31 to start his the season after his free agency.
Man.
So, I mean, I don't. A lot of people have told me he's not gone until Brady's gone. Brady's saying he's got 4 more years. Michael Hawley believes him. Brady's 45. We'll put that as his cap.
Yep.
You really think Rob Gronkowski's going to be able to play 4 more years?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, you just need to find ways to keep him healthy.
I'm not trying to be clickbait here. I'm really this guy's health, and he's obviously he's an idiot, but he's obviously got to be concerned. He's smarter than we give him credit for, too.
Well, he's got a lot of people behind him helping him.
But he's also really got to look at his future. What he really wants. He already has the 2 rings. He's got every accolade for a tight end aside from the yardage, which he won't beat Tony Gonzalez. Just like his yardage numbers are absurd.
He played till like 38, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, but just the sheer production and dominance, you got to say Rob Gronkowski's over Tony Gonzalez at this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a tricky situation with Gronk, obviously. I think they need him, at least the way it is right now, unless you make some big acquisition or you draft someone who's really going to be the next Gronk.
But
you cannot have Dwayne Allen be in your first tight end.
No, absolutely
this time
not.
Next year.
But I think that's why Belichick kind of kept Hollister around.
That's true.
I
haven't seen much of him this year. Hurt?
I think he was around, like, he had week 1, I noticed him. I noticed him early. I think he might have had a touchdown too. Or at least in the preseason he did.
He had a good preseason.
I know for a fact I watched one game where he got a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was regular season or preseason. Anyways, like I said, I'm really not trying to be clickbait or like Michael Felger here.
Okay.
Screaming at clouds.
Okay.
But I don't see it happening for much longer. And I think that's why Belichick's kept Hollister around, because really, who has 3 tight ends on their active roster?
Right.
And it's like, even if he's not the next answer, he's a young guy who could maybe fill it like for a gap year.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like you see at the draft this year, they start looking. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's annoying as a Patriots fan to think that we're in for another offseason like this past one.
I think it's a realistic possibility.
I know it is.
I think he's going to have a comment like he did after Super Bowl 52.
I think the only way
tease us the entire offseason again.
The only way you can avoid this is to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
As crazy as it sounds, I mean, you remind him how good it feels to be on top, and everything's just sunshine and rainbows, and he's back for another year. Whoop-de-doo.
But that much more if they win the Super Bowl next year for his free agency year. I think he walks into the sunset.
Wow.
That's
man. So it's all just going downhill for you.
Take your money and run.
Wow. I mean, that's
I'm not trying to be bleak or anything,
yeah.
but I'm just like realistic. His injuries, and he's already like, the biggest thing is he's already said he's considered it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. He's already said it. He's already thinking about it.
Certainly something to keep an eye on. That's
and he's not Brady. He's not being like Brady, saying he wants to play for as long as possible. He was so realistic about it when he said it.
Yeah.
He was like I don't know, remember the exact quote, but he's just getting into his health and like wanting to play, and like he's got to look at his future.
Yeah.
So he's already thinking about it. That's the biggest thing.
Well, we go from bad news or a bad, I don't know, take, I guess. It's not a bad take. It's a good take, but it's just a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean.
So, yeah. We go from that to.
I think it's realistic.
Go from that.
I think it's looking. I think it's looking at things realistically, not thinking, Gronk's going to be here forever. I think it's looking at things realistically.
Being realistic
for his career, his health, and his team.
Yeah, sometimes New England fans do need a little dose of reality, like when Brad Marchand beats up a guy and then teams go 10-0. But things are not so great for the Bruins now, as they have lost 3 in a row. 2 teams that this time last week we said were going to be pretty easy victories.
Yeah.
Not good.
I mean,
well, let's just run through them first. Calgary 5-0, ugly loss, and then the very next night, overtime.
5-2 or 5-1.
Sorry, 5-2. Yep, 5-2.
Yep.
Edmonton the next night, 3-2 in overtime, and then 2 nights later, Vancouver 2-1 in overtime. All losses. Not good for the Bees. Anyway, go ahead.
And the offense is running dry. I told you the problem would be the first line carrying the production, which it is.
Yep.
They had They were accountable for the 2 goals in Calgary. They were. I know Joakim Nordstrom had the goal in Vancouver.
What a snipe that was, by the way.
And then it was. And then the one in Edmonton, I didn't watch it. I was watching the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the first line was accountable for David Pastrnak actually had the goal to tie that game. Yep. So first line carrying your offense. So I mean, Rask obviously didn't look sharp against Calgary. 4 goals or 3 goals in the first period, I think 3 or 4. Obviously not what you want to see. Not good for me.
Bad look.
And then Halak looked good against Edmonton. The stat line wasn't that great. I think it was 19 saves on 21 shots or 20 on 22. And then in Vancouver, I saw the overtime goal. It wasn't that great. He totally deked out of position.
Yeah.
And it was a little softy that bounced in off the post. And then the first goal might have been it was slow motion. It was the slowest goal scored all year.
That was one of the worst goals I've seen in a while. Yeah, he's kind of on the near post, and the guy just on his knees just kind of poked it through him.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So you can't have – all right, so you can't come down to both goalies are struggling at the same time. Mm-hmm. Someone has to get hot here.
Yeah.
Like, or if Halak, that was just like an anomaly, he has to bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that they had he didn't have a bad game, and I can't speak English. He didn't have a bad game, but he just had 2 bad misses, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And those were ultimately the two that killed them because the offense wasn't on that night. Interesting, though, because Halak played against Edmonton and then again 2 days later against Vancouver
Yeah, I
in a
think
game you may have expected Rask to play. You take anything from that?
I'd take it away is that Cassie's just going to ride the hot hand. I think that might be the story all season. Once Halak starts struggling,
Yeah.
go to Rask.
Wow. So after a loss to the Oilers 3-2, you're still thinking Halak is the hot hand, so you're going to play him again. Interesting.
Honestly,
I just
I
play
mean-
until a goalie starts winning.
yeah, I think they're going to do it like they did last year. Whoever earns the job is going to take it. I think they're
Yeah.
just going to do a platoon for now.
It does make these not so interesting matchups a little bit more enticing, I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, and this team needs Torrey Krug so badly. Like
Yeah.
what was it? The other night they were without McAvoy and Miller. You saw Urho Vakanainen make his NHL debut and Steven Kampfer, his Bruins debut since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Kampfer, a top 4 defenseman? Absolutely not. Like that just so it speaks to you need everyone healthy on the defense.
Yeah.
And you need Torrey Krug badly for the power play and the offense. We're seeing like how important he is to the offense.
Yeah. Well, so
well-
you're a big Krug guy, and so you were going to – I know you would say this all along, and I kind of like to debate you on Torrey Krug's importance to this team. I always thought he was good trade bait kind of.
I
and
think
somebody-
he is, but I think right now you need him.
That's what
I
I've
think
come
you're
to
looking at
realize.
trading him this offseason.
So I guess I'm kind of waving the white flag here and saying that you do need Torrey
You've
Krug.
seen how bad the power play's been,
Right.
how non-existent the offense outside of the guys who can create it for themselves is. And then this third line, David Backes was out the other night, and I don't know what the lineup was, but you've had how many? You've had like 4 third-line centers in the first 7 games or so.
Yeah. I mean, good to shake it up, right? I mean, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, much like we did earlier when we tried to figure out how to set all this stuff up.
Still sensitive.
Yep. But, I mean, it's good to see Cassidy messing with it, but you do lose kind of that chemistry between lines when you're shaking it up so much. So
Yeah.
it's a fine line you walk when you do that, I guess.
And it's like they look good for a few games with Heinen, Backes, Bjork. But Bjork is, I think, carried that line for the most part. Heinen has been better. And then it's also, Donato and Heinen both need to get into a rhythm here. They can't be getting lost in the shuffle. And for the third line, as far as it goes, I mean, center, Sean Corrali didn't work. David Backes was okay. Now he's hurt, or they said not feeling well the other night, but someone was speculating it could be a concussion again. So you got to figure something out. I don't know if you go about that in trade. I don't really know who's shopping third-line centers these days, but Sean Corrali didn't work out. David Backes was okay, good, not great. And then I don't think I saw anyone do less with an opportunity in front of them than JFK did in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trent Frederick, not ready for the NHL just yet. Next year we'll talk. Or maybe even later in the season we'll talk. Depends on how he starts in Providence. And really, I mean, do you want to try Ryan Donato at third-line center? I mean, he'll get tossed around. But he played center in college and, I mean, played a little bit at center.
Yeah.
And then Heinen also can play center too. It's just, what do we got to do here? We got to try something.
Right. And so I guess going along the lines of just kind of trade possibilities, going into a little rumor here, the Bruins might have some interest in Artemi Panarin,
No.
a star with the Columbus Blue Jackets, 27 years old, in a couple days here, but he's been pretty good for the Blue Jackets, but you have no interest in seeing him here?
Well, no, I did over the summer actually when we signed John Moore.
Yep.
And I said, all right, that makes that because we signed John Moore and that meant we had 8 NHL defensemen on the roster, and then we traded McQuaid. Now we're down to 7.
Right.
But I saw that. I said, so that makes either Matt Grzelcyk or Torrey Krug expendable.
Mm-hmm.
And during the summer, I was like, if we want Artemi Panarin, and in the name of Torrey Krug, so be it. But I think now we're seeing we really need Torrey Krug. And then there was the report that the starter would be DeBrusk and McAvoy with a extension already in place with Panarin. So my problem is that, first of all, Charlie McAvoy's name is in that.
Big McAvoy guy right here.
I would discuss DeBrusk. I would, because you have Bjork, Donato, and Heinen.
Yeah.
And you have also Frederick. You could try him at wing. You have a plethora of, in Senishin down in the minors too. You have a plethora of wing talent. DeBrusque, I don't know if you can replace him that easily, but you'd probably be banking on the fact that you'd replace him with Panarin for now.
Yeah.
And hope that one of these other guys develops.
Wait, so we'd still have a gap, you think, on one of those lines at the winger position? Because I think the goal of bringing in Panarin is because you don't have a clear-cut second-line winger.
Oh, no, I think it would be
fine. So then you'd be getting rid of one to bring in another.
It would just have to matter on how long the extension is and who do you have playing right wing.
See, I didn't really think about it that way because Jake DeBrusque is right wing, right? Before I sound stupid.
He's playing left right now, but when Nordstrom was up there, he was playing right.
Okay.
But typically, he's left.
Oh.
And Panarin is a left winger, too. He's a righty. He just plays his offside.
Oh, okay.
So it would come down to, obviously, Panarin would slot in left wing, and then you got to hope that Bjork, Donato, or Heinen takes control on that right wing.
I feel like you're not really fixing the problem then if you're getting rid of one, up-and-coming winger for one that's kind of already hitting his peak. I think that's too much of a move for the short term.
Yeah, so I would listen on Bjork and Heinen.
Well, of course. Anybody would.
And obviously, I would still listen on DeBrusque. I honestly, I would. Because you have, like I said, you have Donato, Bjork, and Heinen, who you could hope develop into, not even hope to develop into what he's been, just prove that they can do it. Because you're still hoping that DeBrusque can keep developing, and that last year wasn't an anomaly. And then, but the second piece of that deal, Charlie McAvoy, I'd hang the phone up as soon as they mentioned Charlie McAvoy.
No thanks.
Absolutely not. I would listen on Matt Grzelcyk, or
who wants Matt Grzelcyk for a franchise talent? Let's take Matt Grzelcyk for him.
I don't know if Panarin's what was his numbers last year?
30 goals, something. He's good. He's better than Matt Grzelcyk.
So obviously it would have to be Grzelcyk would be a piece of that. It
would
obviously be DeBrusque and Grzelcyk. It could be honestly first. He had 82 points last year, 82 and 81. So he was point per game last year. He had 27 goals.
Yeah.
So obviously it would be like DeBrusque, Grzelcyk, and like a first, maybe. And then honestly, like over the summer, I said Torrey Krug, put him in there. But you see how this team is faring offensively and how this power play is failing without Torrey Krug. So obviously I would wait till this offseason because you obviously don't want to let him walk when he's a free agent in 2 years. You hope you can sign him for a good contract, or you can trade him while you can. So it really just comes down to who you're willing to give up and how you can shape this team after the fact.
Right. All right. Well, just finishing up the Bruins with just a look ahead for them in the next week. They'll play against Ottawa, and then they'll come home to play the Flyers and then the Canadiens. And then that will conclude their week. So those are three pretty weak teams that I think you need to beat after seeing what you did against three relatively weak teams last week.
Yeah, Ottawa has been surprising some people. Same thing with Montreal, and then Philadelphia is surprising people with how bad they've been. You need points out of all three of these games, no matter how you get them. OT loss. If you go 2-0-1 or 2-1 even, you need. I'd say a successful week is 2 wins.
Yeah, you can't afford to dig yourself a deep hole in this Atlantic Division.
You can't.
You got teams like the Maple Leafs and
Toronto is lighting the league on fire.
Yeah, Toronto, and then why is it blanking? Tampa Bay. You're gonna need to keep up with them if you really want to establish yourself. And so if you get behind early, you find yourself down with the likes of like the Rangers and whoever else. You got problems. That's a little extreme, but
the Rangers.
I don't know. I just picked one out of a hat.
Rangers are rebuilding.
They're not even in the same division.
No.
I'm struggling here, team.
I'd say you got to look out for Florida too. That's my final thought on the Atlantic.
Yeah.
division.
Okay. Let's go with Florida.
Yeah.
You got to establish yourself as being above Florida. There we go.
You're
Boom.
the alpha. You're the third alpha male. You're the third alpha dog. And no, really, you have three.
You're the third alpha.
You have 3 alphas in that division.
I think
if we're gonna base it off last year.
Tampa's the clear alpha. I think. They're just so stacked.
And then you got 2 betas.
Betas. All right.
But
I'll give you that one.
But barely betas.
Yeah.
It's just because they're not top of the division.
Yeah.
Tampa gets alpha by default.
All right. Well, moving along into the Celtics, they have had 3 games to start their season, beginning with a wonderful win over the Philadelphia 76ers, 105-87 on opening night, but following it up with a disappointing loss to the Toronto Raptors, 113-101, and then squeaking out a victory against the Knicks, 103-101. Obviously, maybe not the ideal start for the Celtics, going 2-1, especially considering the talent and the expectations we've had for this team. But it definitely could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to be perfect. And then it's good, not great, could be better.
That's right.
The Philly game, it's kind of what you wanted to see, although Kyrie and Hayward obviously looked rusty, and they still look rusty. Hayward missed the other night for rest already. But it was just soreness, nothing to be worried about. And then Jason Tatum.
That's the big one. That's the big
Jason
takeaway from
Tatum.
this
This is the coming out party, folks. We thought last year was good.
Mm-hmm.
All indications so far look out.
Yeah.
But I didn't check his stat line against the Knicks.
It was good. He had a game-winning shot against the Knicks. He's doing it all, really, and it's great to see from a second-year talent. Some people always say, got to watch out for the sophomore slump, but he's showing no sign of that, which is
I don't know
awesome.
if that's a big of a thing in the NBA, though.
No?
I'm not. Honestly, I haven't noticed. Yeah, 24 points against the Knicks.
He's killing it.
Let's check his stat line against the Raptors. Had 16 points against the Raptors, and then I believe it was 22 against Sixers. Yeah, he had 23 against Sixers. So he's been 20 points 2 games, and then close to 20 points the other game.
Right.
And really, the Toronto game, nobody played well. And it really shouldn't have been as close as it looked, 113 to 101, you said?
Yep.
So, I mean, and then the Knicks game was way too close than it should have been. This is the Knicks we're talking about. So I think it's really, you got to come down to everybody's got to, or not everybody, but you got to have guys in sync. At the same time, Kyrie and Gordon Hayward need to get over the rust. You need to get some WD-40 on those knees and those ankles.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, that's really all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really mind the slow start. Of course, Celtics fans, with all the hype this team has had, they want them to dominate from the beginning. But like we've said so many times, you can afford to take maybe a loss to a good team like the Raptors, who are putting all their stars out there to try to beat you, giving you the best talent against you.
Yep.
If you're gonna maybe rest Hayward one night, or maybe give Kyrie a few less minutes, just to kind of play for the sustainability of this core group of the team.
Mm-hmm. And also, actually, I had a point, completely forgot it. Oh, yeah, it brings the green teamers back down to reality.
Love that. Green teamers, hot take here, green teamers might be the most overly ambitious fans in New England sports.
It's not that much of a hot take.
Because it's true?
I think it's fairly true.
Okay. I mean, Patriots fans aren't the best either, but...
Yeah, but
anyway.
We also had, after opening night, that we saw that they mentioned how good Tatum looked, how dominant he's looking.
Right.
Or he's going to be, and they considered trading Hayward. I saw that somewhere.
Oh, boy.
I can't believe I saw that somewhere.
That would shake everything up. The guy who kind of started it all by coming here. I mean, I guess you could say Al Horford started it all, but Hayward, the first big name to come here, reuniting with Brad Stevens, and then out the door. That'd be classic Danny Ainge, though.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but it'd just be crazy if it did. All right. Well, that's about it for the Celtics. Not a ton on them this week. A bit of a shame because it is exciting that they're starting the season, but just unfortunate time of the year, I guess, when there's so much going on that you can only devote your attention to so much. So, moving on into the next week, I guess I could probably guess what your big thing you're looking forward to is.
World
Series. It's easy enough. Any national news you wanted to get to?
I got nothing.
You got nothing? I mean, I think just looking at some of the scores across the NFL, because that's always a interesting thing to think too much about, for sure. We see the San Diego Chargers continue to win. They got a 20-19 victory over the Titans in London, England.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
Mike Vrabel. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there you go.
Are you kidding me? I didn't watch that game. I saw the final play, though.
All right.
What the hell?
I'm glad I sparked that. Yeah, Vrabel with a questionable decision, to say the least. His team got what would have been the tying opportunity for an extra point with a touchdown scored with 10 seconds to play. So that made the score 19-20,
mm-hmm.
And he was like, you know what? We're not
We'll
playing for overtime. What's the worst that could happen? Go for 2. Fail the conversion.
Worst that can happen
lose the
is
game.
that your team is now under 500, I believe.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a shame. It's kind of a college move, in my opinion. It's playing for the win. As much as I love to see playing for the win, but I don't know if the Titans are a team that needs to be playing for the win. I think they're a good enough team that they can afford to have the tie, on their on their name, I guess. And that division isn't really that good. Texans have had a little bit of trouble starting off. Obviously, Colts, not too great either, although Andrew Luck's bringing them back into it. Who's the other team?
I mean, Titans are now
Jaguars.
3-4.
Jaguars are having a slow start, too.
Jaguars
That's a big one.
Such a dysfunctional team right now.
The Patriots got them at the wrong time, for sure. But, yeah, 20-7 loss for the Jaguars to their division rival, Texans. Crazy.
And Cody Kessler was in there to start the second half.
Oh, my God.
They benched Blake Bortles.
Oh, my gosh. Didn't even know that. And then just kind of funny that Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland is 13 points away from being 6-1.
They
13 points away from being 6-1.
They lost in overtime on a game-winning field goal from 59 yards, I believe it was.
It's unbelievable.
It's classic, and you see the pictures of Baker Mayfield online.
Yeah,
it's
legendary.
legendary.
I would be that way too. They're 2-4-1.
They could be.
You should be 6-1. You should be 6-1.
It's crazy.
Oh,
well,
actually, Carlos Hyde to the Jaguars.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Interesting.
For a bag of footballs.
Fifth-round pick. I mean, yeah, people said this last year, Jimmy Garoppolo being undervalued for the return of a second-round pick. And then we saw Trent Brown come for next to nothing, and he's been so good on that offensive line for the Pats. So
like Jamie Collins for
I would
a warm beer.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, I think there just must be something behind the scenes. It's not like they value Hyde equally to a fifth-round pick. There's no
not
chance
even close.
Not even close.
They could have gotten a third, maybe even a second for him.
I mean, he's a little bit past his prime, I'd say, but good for him to get to a good team now. Does show you a little bit about how the Jaguars feel about
Fournette's injury.
Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
So glad I took him early in my fantasy draft because he's done next to nothing.
I don't know. My biggest takeaway is just that I don't understand why. I mean, I understand Belichick. That's just what he does. I just don't understand why good NFL players are traded for like nothing regularly.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, the Browns do have good talent at running back, good young talent. They're going to try to develop Nick Chubb.
Yeah, they obviously feel that Chubb's ready and that they want to use Duke Johnson Jr. more, which they said they would, then they didn't, and now they're actually going to do it. And Nick Chubb looked good this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I think when you have that much depth at one position, it's almost a benefit by getting rid of someone, as crazy as that sounds.
It seems like they brought him in to kind of like hold the reins while Chubb's developing or whomever.
6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Yeah, and then obviously, oh my God, he's
Chubb's
ready
already?
this early? Yeah, you picked him in the first round.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to be ready that early.
So just a couple little tidbits from around the NFL, but I think, one last thing. LeBron James making his debut with the Lakers. How weird did it look to see him in Lakers yellow? It was weird for me.
I could care less.
Okay.
I could.
It just felt like someone had gone crazy on their NBA 2K team.
I'll take the money on the team that had a 20-year-old dunk on LeBron James
so
hard.
Here we are.
Green teamers. A 20-year-old dunked on LeBron James so hard that he had to run to the West.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's a good way to wrap it up here today. So, as always, a lot to get to next week, so be sure you tune in until then.
Hopefully technology works.
And we
don't
spend.
Fantastic. 2018. You think this would work?
You'd hope so, and I hope we've been recording this whole time too.
I really do.
Anyway, any last words?
Nothing.
Wow.
I got nothing. Go Sox.
Go Sox indeed. So that will do it. Thank you guys, as always, so much for listening, and we will see you again next week.
Thanks, guys.